Hello, hello. I think we are live. Welcome to the live Q&A session for the Teach What You Know 5-day video series that I just hosted this week. As you guys are coming in, joining me live, do say hello in the chat box. I think I've set it up correctly where I can see all the comments at the moment. So I would love to see who's attending and what's going on in your world as well. And oh, I think my thing just echoed and I heard my own voice. um, Hopefully, I am broadcasting clearly and you can hear me as well. Slip me a little comment below the video and just let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay, as I'm going to be digging into a lot of the great questions that were submitted into this session here as people were going through the 5-day series. And, there might be some sort of internal mindset issues that might come up as you're thinking about, launching a business, sharing your gifts and your most valuable skills. Whatever they are, you get to ask them today. I'm going to post a few today from the ones that came in early. And of course, if there's anything that comes up for you as you're watching this, I will be able to read the chat and see it as well and answer them as we go. So I think I see Shira, who is in the chat. Thanks so much for joining me. And if you guys are here, let me know if you didn't submit a question. You can always post a question on the chat box. I'll read it later after I answer a few of the ones that came in ahead of time, just so that we kind of go through it in a process. And of course, there's a replay that's going to be rebroadcasted right on this channel, and I'll email it to you as well if you've been registered for the 5-day series, so that you can come back and listen to the answers for your question, or if you have to jump off a little bit earlier than you anticipated, no worries at all. The great thing about technology, we can always record it and make sure you get access to it as well. Now, before we get started, just in case if you don't know who I am, I'm Lydia Lee. I'm the founder of Screw the Cubicle. I am a work reinvention coach and a solopreneur strategist, and I have been dedicating the last 8 years of my life really supporting passion-driven entrepreneurs that are potentially sometimes leaving corporate jobs, reinventing their work, whatever it is that they're doing in their chapter of work, is to really figure out what's next with their talents, their expertise, what they've done for even many, many years, and redeploying it towards a meaningful direction so that they can build a meaningful business around their genius zone. And in this week's 5-day series, if you joined it, you would have known that I talked a lot about how to discover your own genius zone, to kind of recognize where that magical intersection lies between your mastery, right, which are the skills, the experiences, credentials, school of hard knocks, right, things that you've learned in your personal life that you might not have been paid to do before, but may very well, right, use it to monetize in your next chapter of work. Things that you've learned how to solve for yourself on a personal level can be very, very valuable for other people who might be going through, right, that same forest that you went through many years ago, and you can help them see the forest from the trees. And so one part of that sweet spot is going to be your mastery, right? And then your deep interests, right? How does it link? How do your skills link to your deep interests of things that you care about, right? Topics that you love teaching about or imposing knowledge on. What are people asking you constantly these days? Or where is the area, right, of your industry that you maybe have belonged to for quite a number of years, but even picking a scope, right, of a focus within that industry to solve problems in, right? And so deep interest is what helps us to have longevity in our businesses, because we are constantly wanting to be educated on these topics, right? Things that really sings to our heart, things that we feel joyful sharing and talking about. And it's, work that we want to do versus work that we think we have to do, right? And then the last part of the sweet spot that I spoke about was impact. How do you want your work to really create a ripple effect of a bigger transformation, right? A bigger outcome for people, right? So for me, for example, at Screw the Cubicle, a lot of what I do is about career transition, right? And building businesses from your existing skill sets and genius zones. But the real impact that I really want to make as well is that people have bigger lifestyle freedom, right? People are able to travel, be home with their children, decide to work in different rhythms and seasons of their life, right? Because not everybody is kind of made and designed to work 365 days a year, 5 days a week, right? 9 to 5. We want to be able to choose the way we want to work. And I think when people have that freedom of autonomy and choice, they are happier people. They're more aligned people with the values that they're living out. And, a business is a vehicle for that change and an opportunity to be used to create that sort of freedom for yourself, however you might define that freedom. If that resonates with you, let me know in the chat box as well, that you're clear on my mission as well as we work on these things together. Now, if you're joining me and wondering, what the hell is this 5 day series you're talking about? You might have missed, when we hosted it in the beginning of early on this Monday, but don't worry because you can still have a chance to go through the daily videos by going to screwthecubicle.com/series, and you'll be able to watch the replays, and you'll be able to, you'll get sent an email that will give you links to all of the 5 day videos, right? To really learn how to build a business, teaching your skills, knowledge, and experience. Is a really value-packed week that I produced and created for you. And I think if you have been on the fence or you've been feeling a bit stuck on how to get started on teaching what you think you know how to do, or maybe if you're feeling even a little fuzzy on what exactly you should be teaching and how will you do that and what are the steps to take to validate your ideas and create profitable offers within your teaching, coaching, service-based business, then you don't want to miss this 5 day series because it really is in itself a little mini course that I could charge for, but you certainly get it completely free when you register. I want to be able to plant that seed for you this week to not be, putting your dreams in the back burner, really taking some practical, logical, sometimes imperfectly, right? Those steps to be able to make this happen for you because you have gifts to share, you have knowledge and wisdom to impart to others. And I think, once we are able to create that structure of how to move forward with your ideas instead of it just being a nebulous vision, I think it's going to really ground you, right, in understanding that you can do this. You don't have to wait till everything feels perfect. You can do it step by step. And I really hope that when you register or if you've taken the 5 day series, that has felt like that experience for you, right? These sort of bite-sized lessons every single day that we were able to go through together. So again, it's not too late to register for the series. Just go to screwthecubicle.com/series and you'll be able to register for free and get access to everything that we worked on this week as a community. Okay, so I'm going to dig right into some of the questions that were submitted to me ahead of time and answer them for you today. And as you might be listening to this, even if you're listening to this on the replay, you can always comment below this video to insert another question, ask me further questions. I always check this channel and make sure that everyone's taken care of. So don't worry about getting your questions answered, even if you're not attending live in this session today. So let's dig into question number one, which is one I get asked a lot as well. How do I know this is the thing I want to teach people on long term, right? And this question is really about, am I picking the right thing? Am I making sure that I have done my due diligence to ensure that these are the topics, this is the subject, this is the niche that I want to spend my energy and my time on producing work for, right? If this question resonates with you, let me know in the chat box as well, or maybe this is one of your questions that you came here to ask, right? So my answer to that question is, I like to think of the business we should be starting today as what I call what's a right for right now business, right? We don't know the future. It's really hard to plan out, am I going to die with this business idea that I start with today? Because we are ever evolving humans, right? I wish I had a more magical question for you about finding purpose, but the truth is you go with what feels purposeful today. You go with what is not only just purposeful, but also profitable. There is a marketplace need for your work, right? And we talk about how to validate a bit of that through market research, right? Through our 5-day series. But when we talked about, right, in the beginning of this stream as well, about finding that idea that sits in the intersection of your mastery, your deep interests, and the impact you want to make, you're really using that as a metric, right, to measure your ideas and sometimes be creative in how you explore those skills and interests and impact and how you want that idea to come to life even more for you, right? That's part of being an entrepreneur, is using your creative muscle, right? If a particular type of job or role in your business sounds kind of cookie cutter, just like everyone else, right? That is doing the thing that you're doing. Well, it's up to you to make it interesting, right? It's up to you to do things that will feel purposeful to you, how you want to do things that might feel purposeful to you, and how you deliver that work, or what you contribute, right, in a combination of skills, or a way you approach the solving of that problem, or how you design that experience, that's going to help make the experience a lot more meaningful for you, right? So it's not an overnight thing. Sometimes it might take a little bit of time for you to kind of ponder on that and think about it, right? But as you have gone through the 5-day series, very likely you have a few good ideas, right, that you want to start exploring, right? Or if you do know what that idea is, and you know that this is your best work, like in today, this minute, this hour, that your highest contribution is towards this focus, trust your heart. Trust that you will expand that work, right? And you will, like, always be expanding your body of work as you go. Like the example I gave during the 5-day series, right, on day 2, I believe, I shared my own personal journey of the evolution of how my coaching practice had shifted, evolved, and expanded based on how I grew as a human, based on things I've been learning in the 8 years I've been an entrepreneur, right? And your business evolves as you evolve, right? So you don't have to get it right to forever kind of a notion, but it's just about what's right for right now that's going to help you earn an income, that's going to allow you to share your most valuable gifts. And then you could creatively make the business meaningful, fun, joyful, easeful, in a way that's going to suit your needs and your lifestyle choices and how you want to host your work, right, in your business. So the summary of that question, that answer, is that you won't know if this is the forever business or forever topic you'll teach. But if you do start with what's right for right now, that's going to fit what you can start making moves on right now, you're going to be a whole lot closer to that freedom, right, as an entrepreneur that you are craving for, and make other choices where you might pivot, where you might expand that work when your work calls for it. Okay? I hope that helps you, well, first to ease your heart about being a perfectionist, and that you can move with imperfect action and know that clearer answers are coming. Okay, question number 2 is, how do I attract clients and get them to trust me as a new coach? Which is a very, very great question, because all of us want to feel ethical and we want to be credible. And as a new entrepreneur, as a new coach, or whatever service-based business you might be starting, you might be thinking, well, if I don't have a huge brand and I don't have a trusted brand at the moment, how do I make sure that I'm still standing out with competitors that are more seasoned than me, even if I am a new coach and I don't have a huge audience at the moment, right? So it is a very relevant question for a lot of new business owners. So how do we attract clients and make sure they trust us? Well, we can't make anyone trust us. So one of the things that I teach my students and my coaching clients is, instead of just telling people they should trust you, we should be human about the experience and start to show people why they should trust us. So I call this concept like a show and tell kind of a marketing, right? Show and tell way of sales that isn't icky and cheesy and sleazy and, shame-filled marketing or trickery marketing. It literally is a practical approach in being holistic about it. And instead of, right, hoping that people will find you, do the work to be visible and start to teach what you know. Literally, this is the name of the 5 day series, teach what you know. Well, that doesn't stop when you have all your offers ready and your website ready. It continues when we do things like marketing and building our visibility in the marketplace and attracting clients to wherever it is that we host them, right, in our business, whether it's on social channels, whether it's inviting them to our newsletters and email subscriptions, or things like what you're watching at the moment, my YouTube channel, right, a community hosted where you are sharing your expertise generously in order for people to trust you. So if you are watching this, if you've been part of the 5 day series, well, this is my show and tell, right? Of sharing something generously, making sure that you're equipped with the skills and knowledge and a quick wins in the inaugural part of your journey so that if you go through something like this, like a series, and found value and was able to get some answers for some of the big problems that you've been contemplating about when it comes to this topic, right, that you came here to learn, then if we get along, if my vibe jives with you, if you agree with a lot of the ways that I approach, right, my solutions and what I offer, right, in helping people build businesses, then the natural journey of where that goes is people will start inquiring about your offers. So if you are a new business owner, instead of focusing on snazzy marketing or learning complicated things like ads or funnels or whatever it is that you think you need to learn in order to be successful, is really start to focus on how many ways and how many times every single week or every single month I can be really truly showing up and teaching what I know, right? So if you're a coach, for example, a lot of your marketing activities should be coaching. You should be coaching people, whether it's maybe an IGTV series or a YouTube channel with videos or a podcast, or you teach via your email newsletters, or you teach via a series like this that, I'm a huge teacher at heart and also a coach as well. And so this is my best way of show and telling, right? And that's what I'm going to double down on and invest my energy doing rather than sticking my head into, I don't know, courses around Facebook ads, which is not my genius zone. I'm not a Facebook ad specialist, so I could probably hire other people if I want to do that. But if I'm going to be in charge of my own marketing, I'm going to show up in marketing doing the activities that I get paid to do in my regular right role in my company. So if I'm a coach, I better be coaching in my marketing activities. If you are a course creator and an educator, you better be teaching in your marketing, right? If you are a producer where you make websites or you're a copywriter, well, show people how to do certain things better at the services that you provide. Give them a couple of cookie crumbs, right? To improve their website, to improve their writing, to improve the layout of their about pages, whatever it's like, or do a teardown of case studies, right? Of clients that have hired you to write and break down your process and teach people to showcase that you know what you're talking about. You have an approach that you love, right? You have a framework that guarantees great results, and you need to share that so that people are interested and start to be warmed up and nurtured into your primary paid offer. Okay, so if you've been working on sales activities that kind of just looks good, instead of actually really giving people some great insight, data, information that truly educates them generously, then I would love for you to take a review of that and look at what activities are actually just kind of busy marketing activities that kind of look fancy, but aren't really supporting and helping people genuinely. Does any of that resonate with you guys that are watching? If now, no shame zone here. If you guys have done some busy work marketing, I sure sometimes get stuck in that and go, oh, what am I doing? And have to wake myself up and go, what should I really be doing? What's essential, right, for people? Yeah, share that with us in the comments. I would love to hear, if that note resonated with you, and what are some things you might want to try in your business to start show and telling, right? Create a show and tell kind of approach to your marketing rather than just pretty quotes and memes, right, that you're posting on social media. Okay, let's move on to question number 3 as you guys are searching for your insights to share. Question number three is, how do I go beyond the hourly rate and charge more for my services? I love this question because I am a huge believer in, if you offer amazing value, you should be paid more for the quality, right, of the value that you're creating. And hourly rates are kind of what we might be used to if we're working, regular traditional jobs. I get that. And also a lot of freelancers, right, kind of get stuck sometimes in hourly rates. Or even coaches can get stuck in per session rates rather than a higher value package. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about when it comes to the pricing and packaging of your expertise. So if my memory serves me right, it was day 3 of the video series that I started talking a lot about how do I create a framework, right? How do I package my expertise by creating a framework for your work? And so, what a framework is, and again, we get into more in depth of that in the series, and you should take a look at that video by registering for it. Or go back to the video if you've watched it, if you're not quite sure what your framework is just yet. But what a framework does for you is it's going to allow you to map out the complete experience of your highest value you offer for your clients, right? It's a repeatable formula. It has like pillars and structure of things that that are non-negotiable for you to do for clients in order to get them results. So it does require you to know your work really deeply to craft that journey, right? And when you know that journey of the different processes and steps your clients will take, and you will take with every client to reach those goals that they came for and they paid for by working with you, then you can start to really see the value that it's not just a one-time hour or even just the hours you spend doing the tasks that you're hired to do, because it's all about the all-encompassing value of the years of experience, how fast you get something done, how deep your work goes, right? So when I do an hour coaching call, that is like years of experience that goes into every minute of that hourly call. I'm not charging hourly. I'm charging for the value of the outcome of that session or that package of that experience. And I do believe that we need to start encouraging our clients to think in longer term experiences. These apply to course creators, coaches, web designers, writers. Like, instead of just giving people options, right, to work with you on a one-off or an hourly session or a slot, give people more. They're only going to pay for what you tell them they should be paying for, right? So if you're saying to them that actually we get to more impactful results and you're going to get more of what you came for if you were to work with me longer, if we were to do more and deeper work in your business or whatever it is that you came to me for, we're going to get better outcomes. You're going to get beyond the thing that you're dreaming to do, right? And so my framework, for example, has 6 phases. That's across the board in my business, in my 90-day launch academy, in my one-on-one coaching, framework, in retreats that I run in Bali. I use the same framework for anything that I offer because those are the fundamental things that every client needs to do in order to succeed based on the experience that I have, right? So when I sell an entire experience, this is going to give people an impression of value, and not just an impression, but a true test, tried and tested process, right? That if they were to go through this journey with me, it's going to create more ease. It's going to be less complicated. They're not going to second guess themselves. They're going to just follow, right? And that's what they're hiring with me for, right? It's not to try to think of what to do next. It's told, right? It's really shown how you're going to do it based on my expertise and my experience, right? So charging by value packages, right? Thinking not about your time, but about the outcomes and the entire experience of working with you. Really challenge yourself to give great value, high quality value, and do things beyond what you think, is the standard in the marketplace. If you really want to stand out as a new business owner, do some of the things that other people don't want to do or may not do well or don't pay attention to, right? To really amplify the quality of your work, so that when people see these packages, they truly understand what they're paying for. That can, again, be a lot beyond just the obvious stuff, right? The hourly stuff, the number of modules or the number of sessions. They're really going to see the transformation that's really behind your work because you can showcase that framework. So if you've been having trouble selling your services without people just only hiring you, hour by hour, it might be a clue that you need to really take a look at what your framework is. So if I outline a bit of that in the 5-day series. It's a huge portion of what my students and I do in the 90-day launch program that also supports them to actually understand how to create courses, how to create a coaching framework that takes people through to the same results over and over again. It's going to help you to also feel confident about your work because you're not just throwing spaghetti on the wall, right? There's a process, there's a method to the madness, and it's a system you're selling, right? People buy systems; they don't just buy hours. So I hope that makes sense. Rabbit the Stylist, I love your name. Thank you for commenting. It says you said that helps a lot, so I'm really glad that this Q&A session's helpful so far. And then Shira from REI Chic says, I like your approach to keep it simple. Absolutely. I am a minimalist, by nature. So the way I live my life, the way I want to do my business is aligned with that value. And a minimalist is all about doing what's essential, not to do less, but to do things better. And it doesn't always mean more things. It sometimes means focusing on one or two really, really important things in your business that's going to make momentum really happen, rather than spreading your energy too thin as a solopreneur and not getting much done in your business. So whether it's marketing or offers or how we build attraction engines to get clients, we want to really simplify this process so that you can show up and want to do the thing rather than it being a complicated tactic, right? That you don't want to show up for. Okay, let's go into question. Oops, that's the one we just answered. This person asks, I'm looking to change my offers to reflect more on what I love doing rather than what's the common practice in my industry. How do I approach this? Okay, so if I was to read this question, and again, because I don't have this person right in front of me, I'm going to guess and assume that this person is asking this question is because they might be doing something that is kind of everyone else in their industry does it, but perhaps they want to still do the same work, but do it in a way or an approach that's more in their strengths, right? And more in doing it in the way that they love doing it rather than the cookie cutter way of where things have been done, right, in their industry. That's kind of how I'm reading this question. Now, it really reminds me actually of a call I had with a psychologist yesterday who was potentially becoming a new client. And part of our conversation was about how, as a psychologist, she loves to have caseloads of patients that she is seeing and obviously making an income from. But a lot of her life has changed since dealing with an aging father that she has to take care of. So she is becoming kind of a part-time caregiver. It's feeling stressful for her to continue working the hours she's working while still being able to take care of her aging father who's had an illness. And she would like to change the way that she offers her work in a way that is going to be conducive to her lifestyle. And she also has had a feeling in the last few years that she's wanting to really nurture this other creative side she has, which is her writing side. So she's been joining like writers forums and courses and able to write her book. And so she's like, I really want to write, but how can I still keep becoming a psychologist and keep writing at the same time? Do I have to pick and choose? Do I want to be a writer or do I want to be a psychologist? Right? So it's kind of very similar, I think, thread or theme to this question that I'm being asked today as well. And the way that I looked at it, just like how I advise this particular psychologist, is that, yes, in a traditional realm, the only way to be a psychologist is to work with people one-on-one, right? And to have caseloads, right? Case patients that you work with individually. But it doesn't have to be all of that only, right? She could dedicate a percentage of her practice to having one-on-one clients and knowing that when that quota is filled, that's enough clients so that she has more time to take care of her father or work on something else. And if she wants to nurture that writing skill and educator skill that she loves to teach as well, into not going one-on-one and teaching something else to the marketplace that lives under the same umbrella of her brand, she can still do that as a secondary offer, right? So one of the things that we landed on was her her own practice being more meaningful when she started taking care of her energy as a giver and a helper as a psychologist, and learning mindfulness and boundaries and groundedness in order to be there and hold space for her clients. And as we know, right, mental illness and depression and anxiety is huge right now during the time of COVID, and we need more psychotherapists and helpers and nurses and doctors to be healthy, right, in the mind and in the body in order to continue helping the rest of the world, right? So this is an interesting pivot, right? Which means that instead of being a therapist to one-on-one clients, she's now going to teach and write about, right, practices for therapists so that they can continue, right, to have a thriving practice without sacrificing their soul and their energy, and be great, therapists, and be good to themselves as well, right? And that can still be part of the same brand, but she's now offering a different service that allows her to scale her time because it's not one-on-one, it's more one-to-many. And it also allows her to do some of the skill sets she loves, which is writing and teaching, right? And not be dealing with people one-on-one, right? Scaling that wisdom, scaling that knowledge to serve more than one person, a one-to-many model. That can certainly be done. So I think that as we go back to this question, right, how do you, if you are in this trajectory or crossroad at the moment of like, I'm not doing stuff that I like to do, right? I want you to kind of think about, well, if you could have the choice, what don't you want to do anymore? So if you've been a coach for a while, you've been coaching the same way, what feels heavy now? What feels misaligned now based on maybe new skills you've adopted or a different way you want to share your wisdom, right? I started with one-on-one as well. And then what I also realized was there's a couple things that I always keep repeating a lot to clients, and I'm getting kind of tired of it because I've done this for many years. And now I feel that I have enough experience that I can package this wisdom into a more creative part of my work, which is to produce courses, produce learning experiences. A big clue for me was I used to be in the education background, with an education background. So I can use that old skill, right, being in the education industry, and apply that to my next phase of my business, which is producing really interactive, entertaining, right, fun, collaborative communities to learn together instead of just doing one-on-one work, right? And so that's brought me more joy in the second part of my business in Screw the Cubicle, or second phase of my business so far at Screw the Cubicle. And so we can continue the same business. We don't have to give it up, but we do need to get creative in how we, acknowledge where we are right now with how we want to do our work, what our personalities are like, what our lifestyles look like, and start to know that you can change how you deliver your work. As long as you're still delivering value, as long as you're still caring for your customers and making sure that they're supported towards the goals that they paid you to get done, right, with them, then you can kind of do it how you want, right? So there's always this limiting belief, I hear from people, right, that no one else has done it this way, or, but all the other people are doing it like this as well to offer the same thing. You don't actually. The more you actually are yourself, the more you do things the way you want to do it, is going to guarantee that you enjoy your work. Right? So if you're an introvert that hates kind of live calls, don't do live calls. Do recorded responses, right? I have 80% of my clients are introverts. So, even though they are coaches, sometimes they don't want to coach like a traditional coach where they have to be on the fly right away on a live call. Sometimes they do coaching via, an app that allows them to kind of almost like send voicemail. So they have time to think about their responses, think about what they really want to say to their clients, because a lot of introverts need that space to kind of dig in first, and then they can offer a great response. Maybe for extroverts or other people that enjoy kind of off the cuff conversations and discussions, that would be no problem for them. But Go with your strength, go with your personality type, and build your work and the way you offer your work in alignment with how you want to show up for it, right? Be honest with yourself, and then you're able to really truly design work that matters to people, but also design work that feels joyful for you to deliver. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you resonate with that as well. All right, question number 5. How do you know when it's time to pivot? How do you know when it's time to pivot your work or move into something else? Right? We always have this fear that we have to do something forever if we hate it, right? Which is not true. But also sometimes we're not quite sure. It's kind of like a breakup or leaving a relationship, right? It's like, well, it's not too bad just yet, but should I leave? Should I go? What should I do? And work is a relationship, isn't it? So we are always evolving our feelings around it, our experience around our work, and yeah, we do need sometimes to take a necessary pause, like every quarter, every year, every 6 months, and evaluate whether our work is still going towards the direction that we are, where we are still feeling joyful and meaningful around, or has things changed, and therefore I might need to use my freedom of choice, right, in order to recreate something different, completely start over if necessary, or is it a pivot, right? And that can sometimes be, a hard question to answer. So I want to kind of answer this based on my own experience about doing lots of pivots in my business. And it really does feel like, should I break up with this thing or start over? It can be very easy, I think, sometimes when we get stuck or frustrated about, well, our work or something's not working for us, that we want to kind of throw the baby out of the bathwater and just start over because it kind of feels good to do that. But I would recommend to, again, take a pause. Don't make any rash decisions when something doesn't feel aligned just yet, right? What our work is to be done is to get back to realignment, right, with the work we're doing, or make little tweaks. Sometimes that's all it takes. It's just little tweaks rather than throwing everything down the toilet. Is really to see what isn't working for me. So before we answer that question of should I pivot, should I change businesses, should I change topics, should I teach something else, is to sit with that discomfort a little bit, okay, and just think and feel into what doesn't feel right anymore. Is it the topic itself? Is it how I'm delivering that topic? Is it the people I'm helping that I've outgrown? Is it I've moved into a more advanced level or an area of a scope of work that I'm more interested in, right? Is it that I need to do more in the topics that I'm doing? Because right now it feels really basic, or it's too intro, or it's too beginner, and I've grown a lot as a business owner, and now I really want to advance to teaching the topic. Instead of 101, it's going into 102. Right? So there's a lot of nuance, right, in those answers. It's not always black and white, like should you give it up or pivot, or yes or no question. It really is, we have to take some time to think about what are the ingredients of my work that isn't working for me, so that I can make the right choices and take the right actions in that, with that evaluation, to know what needs to change in the way that I'm doing this work, right? So when I had a massive burnout, which was my second burnout ever, where I had massive panic attacks and depression. First one happened in corporate, self-explanatory. Second one happened, more shockingly, at my highest revenue year in my business about 4 years ago. And that shocked me, because making more money, having a bigger team, having a bigger empire was supposed to make me happier, and yet I was super depressed. And so, yeah, maybe if I didn't think about it too deeply, I might have just thought, oh, maybe I've just not aligned anymore with this business and I'm not happy, but I knew sometimes the mind plays tricks on us. So I took a sabbatical and I started to really think about the different moving parts of where I was spending my time in my business, what I was doing in my business, in order to pinpoint what truly was the thing not working for me. And what I found out was actually not the thing that I was teaching. I still loved what I was teaching, but I was giving too many offers that was exhausting my time and my energy. I had hired a bigger team, even though they were helpful and lovely. I really started to get real honest with myself that I really hate managing people because I travel a lot. I like my lifestyle freedom. That's kind of why I started the business in the first place. And yet I was doing meetings, I was training, I was creating templates, and that was so not the thing I want to be doing. And so, not anyone's fault, but it was a necessary pause for me to go, okay, I still love what I'm teaching. I still love the mission of my work. I just don't like the way how I'm delivering it. Where, like, how many times I have to deliver this in different offers and marketing all year round, and, being having to be responsible for so many salaries when I actually want to take 3 months off a year. Like, all those things were hindering my joy that I felt in my business, right? And so when I made those changes of not having a team, but having project-based contractors instead, right? Where I can still work with people, but at certain times of the year and certain projects only, that allowed me to eradicate the pain of having to manage people every single week, right? When I focused on one offer, which is and has been 90-day launch, still today, I stopped running like on a hamster wheel, marketing multiple things every single year. And now, again, that's not a business model for everybody, but that is certainly a business model for me. And so I really decided that this company of one, the solopreneur model, is more of what I love. And I feel that my version of success aligns with this small business, right, model as a minimalist so that I can have more time and have more freedom. And so that became, right, what we now know as Screw the Cubicle 2.0. And I started talking about that in my business, which also attracted people that wanted that kind of business. And, that evolved me into a different chapter of my body of work by reinventing, right, a new message, a new pillar of what I'm trusting now as my best work, right? And allowing myself to make that change as I go, right? So I didn't throw the baby out of the bathwater. I just did a few tweaks in how I was showing up for my business, what I was saying yes to, in order to align that back with my points of joy, right? So same goes for you, I think. Don't make a rash decision if you feel like, oh, I've had this business, nothing's working. Really take time with a fine-tooth comb and analyze and assess, right? That's some of the best gifts that we can give ourselves as business owners, is take the time to know ourselves, take the time to know what isn't working, so that we're not blanketing statements on everything isn't working. It's not everything, it's certain things, right? As I said, it's not sometimes the topic, could be, right? But it could be you've changed ideal audience, you've changed a scope of work, you've changed a delivery model or a format that can be, and you could create a new one that could be more aligned. Okay? Hope that makes sense in how I answered that question. All right, I've got one more final question here, and then feel free to post any questions you have as you listen to this Q&A session today in the chat box so that I can answer any last minute ones before we go for the day. The last question that was submitted is, what do you do if you feel like quitting as a new business owner? Yeah, it can feel hard, isn't it? When we're doing a lot in our businesses, especially as first-time business owners. Everything seems like it's not working at times because we're new at it. And we might be throwing a lot of spaghetti on the wall sometimes and hoping it sticks, and some do and some don't. And it can feel frustrating, especially when we really need to gain momentum and we really need to feel the sense of momentum to feel motivated enough to keep showing up, right, in our work, which is going to be important, right, for our well-being as business owners. So, Shira, I think it was you that asked this question. If you're still here live, it is a good question and something I think a lot of people think about but may not voice out all the time. And I certainly have had my bouts of disappointment, have my bouts of doubts about what I'm doing, when things have felt hard. And again, another opportunity here to take a little pause and review and assess what isn't working and what is making me feel like I may want to quit. Now, anything hard, right? Anything worth doing, right? Or is meaningful for us to do in terms of change or learning new skills as a business owner, for example, isn't easy. We know that it comes with the ups and downs for in the process, right? Like, even when we first got into our own careers back in the day from university, right, or whatever degrees we graduated with, everything did feel new in the beginning of time. And we gave it a bit of time, didn't we, to make sure that we, right, warmed up to new environments, new colleagues, new skill set, new everything. So at some point, you were really new at another skill you knew before as well, but mastery takes time, right? And in a business, we can sometimes forget that because everyone in the business world and the marketing messages out there, it's like, oh my God, you can do this in like 2 months. You could do this in 6 months, and you should be making six figures in 6 months. And there's all these sort of very high pressure messages that if you don't do that within a certain amount of time, you are a failure. And I'm a big believer that we don't need to go somewhere super fast, right? Like alignment is better than speed. That's what I always say, right? Like sometimes why it's not gaining momentum is because we may not be aligning ourselves with the different moving parts of our business and perhaps doing things or worrying about things that are out of our control, or right being busy doing the busy work in business but not truly right the things that bring us joy, the things that are in alignment with our values, and simple, right, simplified approaches in making moves in our business, right? um, while saying that, as we are learning new skills, part of that is being patient, but the other part is also evaluating like the activities that you've invested or you are investing in your daily to-dos in your business right now. What are you doing to put your business, bring your business forward? Are they things that are going anywhere? And maybe you haven't realized they're not. And so you keep pushing the same things and nothing's happening. Or is it that there's parts of things you enjoy in your day to day, but the results aren't there? And how do we analyze where can that piece be fixed? Right. So, for example, sometimes I have clients that will say, I've been on social media and marketing like every day for my business and nothing's happening, right? And that's frustrating. And so then I'll go in their social media and I'll start to see what they're posting. And a lot of it is just like what they ate for lunch. Pretty photos of them in their day, right? Little memes, little quotes, right? Little inspirational things that are nice and really gorgeous to look at, but I still don't know what they do. Or if I was a stranger, I wouldn't know what they do, right? There's no meat in the content. And so sometimes it's not that just because you post every day and market every day would mean that people come to you. We have to evaluate how are people converting from passively, looking at a post versus doing something deeper with us. Are we creating more invitations to learn with us, to do deeper work with us, to invite people on larger experiences from the get-go, like the series you're watching, or to talk on the phone, or to create book a discovery call to get to know their problems better and offer advice, right? So a lot of what isn't helping momentum in our business is sometimes the activities we're doing that's causing us a bit of frustration around that. So sometimes I would say just stop doing everything and start to really like a scientist look and go, how when I do these episodes for a podcast, when I write my blogs, when I market this way, how many people are contacting me from that avenue, right? Um, how am I talking to more of my customers and building relationships with them versus hiding behind a computer and posting a few things and hoping people bite, right? So if we are service-based business owners, service-based is about being of service. And being of service, we need to start literally helping people. And so whatever you might need to pivot in your marketing activity sometimes might give you a clue as to where am I not creating kind of more intimate relationships? Am I, talking on the phone more rather than posting? Am I inviting people to talk to me rather than just publishing my blog and hoping people read it? Am I, like going to even my low-hanging fruit of my network of colleagues and friends and family and telling them to spread the word about my business? Like, what real actions am I taking by talking to other humans in order to expand my business? In the online marketing world, it's really, really easy to be trapped in this tech piece, right? Like if I just do things in automation, if I just get my website looking pretty, people will come. That's not true. in a service-based business, we need to care about people. We need to create and connect with people, right? So I know it doesn't sound very sexy to, like talk to everyone live, but especially in the beginning of a business, it's such good market research for you anyway, to be inviting people to talk to you on the phone, right? That's how I built my first coaching practice. It's like I was in a Facebook group and I would just be sharing all the insights I was writing about. And then whenever someone had a problem, I would just be like, hey, you want to jump on a call and work this out? And I would just give them my time for free for like 20 minutes. And that was how I got my first coaching client, was just simply being of service, being helpful as much as I can. And even these days, 8 years later, some of my marketing activities isn't fancy. Like if someone follows me on Instagram, I will shoot them a voicemail and make sure I sound human and I approach them humanly instead of just passively kind of liking their thing or, right, like giving them an autoresponder, right? People appreciate that. I've gotten clients from the DMs on Instagram simply because I sent them a voicemail. We started a conversation. I asked them what problems they were having. I gave them good advice and they asked, oh my God, that was great. How can I maybe talk to you more about what you work on and how we can work together, right? So these are real activities that cause traction. And sometimes if we're not doing that, we can feel like things aren't going anywhere. So Shira, if you're still listening, right, and this is helpful to you, really look at the areas of your business that is creating momentum and not creating momentum, and where can things shift and change to be simpler for you to show up to show up for your business to do, or is there a strategy that needs a bit of tweaking that can get you better results so that you don't feel like quitting your business, right? Really evaluate it almost like a third party looking in, so you're not emotionally attached to your own business, and or get feedback from other people who know you, who know your business, and go, what am I not doing? If you were a client or a potential client not knowing what I do, what would you want to see from me to be able to trust me and do more, right, with me and my business? The final thing I want to say about the feeling that we have about doubt, right, and feelings of failure when things aren't going in the speed that we want it to go, we sometimes need to take a break. We need to take a break from doing the work of our business, going for a walk, doing something that's out of your head. I love going for walks, putting a podcast on, doing yoga, right? Something that kind of gets me into my body, because sometimes clarity needs space. We need air. We need oxygen. And so if we're constantly working on our business and hustling and not being, caring for ourselves in an effective way, then we're always going to feel really muddy and kind of muddled in our heads, right? So sometimes actually just taking a pause from the business, stepping away from it so that you can see perspective. And that can sometimes be very helpful. I think it's also helpful to be with other humans, to get accountability buddies, to get a coach, to share your work with people that you trust, right? I have mastermind groups, I have my own coach, I have a therapist, I have lots of people that kind of support my work. And in order for me to feel like I'm supported and I can get feedback beyond my own perspective, my own limiting beliefs at times, we do need other people, right? So we can get some fresh ideas, get to see our business with fresh eyeballs when we allow other people the permission to give that feedback, right? But we got to stop holding on that we're always in control and I'm the only one with all the answers, right? Let your business be seen by people you trust and take that constructive criticism, in a positive light, to know that, hey, the business is just an extension of you. It's not, it's no, like whatever happens in your business is not a reflection of who you are as a person, or whether you're good or bad or successful or a failure, right? A business is a business. You are always going to be enough. You're always going to be great, right? But look at the business as a machine that sometimes needs a bit of repairs, needs to be looked at and things done to it differently, right? That's part and parcel of being an entrepreneur, is that taking the time to creatively come up with ideas, evaluate, assess, know what the problems are, and fix the problem slowly. And that will be kind of never ending in business anyway. So it's kind of a good mindset to have, is that nothing's gone wrong. It's just an opportunity right? To know yourself and know your business better so that you can come at it again with a more aligned action, more inspired action towards making your business better for you. Okay? But I love that question as well because I know a lot of people experience it and want to give up, right? But sometimes I find people just give up when the going gets tough and they're just actually right around the corner of some amazing answers and success. And if they only held on, right, a bit longer and tried different things, they would be successful. That certainly happened to my business. There took a few shifts of finding myself in it and kind of, practicing my voice and kind of being familiar with my work. It took, at least a year to do that in order for me to be comfortable in an area that I felt like I could have my best success. But it took a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of just trusting myself and keeping going. Right, keeping my eyes on the prize as well. That I know I'd rather be working on this problem, at least it's for myself, right, than going back to a job which I didn't want to go back to, and knowing, right, that my choices or my power of autonomy is taken from me, right? So I rather deal with this problem. It's like pick your quality of problem, basically, right? Both are going to be problematic. Something familiar and comfortable like a job is, you know, has its pros and cons. And, same with being a business owner. It's not always sugar plums and gumdrops, but we have to kind of take the good and the bad together, know it's part of the process, it's just an experience, and focus on, right, things that are working, focus on getting help and support, and knowing that we're not alone in the journey of being an entrepreneur. Okay. Well, thank you so very much for joining me for today's session. I hope you enjoy this conversation as well. And hey, if anything is coming up for you after we end the broadcast and you feel like you want to still get a hold of me and ask me a question, feel free to do it in the comments. I'm happy to read it as well, or email me at hi@screwthecubicle.com. Hopefully you know how to spell that, screwthecubicle.com. And I will be sure to reply and make sure that you feel supported as you go through your journey of teaching what you know and believing that you have amazing gifts to share to people who really need what you've got today. Okay? I hope that you guys have enjoyed the session. Again, if you haven't registered for the 5-day series and you kind of want to really learn step by step how to teach what you know, go ahead and go to screwthecubicle.com/series, and you'll be able to still register for the replays and get a hold of the daily video lessons that I produce for you in the series, and be really armed with structure, a process, a simplified plan on how to get started to teach what you know. If you're interested in working with me, interested to be part of the community at Screw the Cubicle, you can go to my website, screwthecubicle.com, and find out all the goodies there, or subscribe to this channel on YouTube. I'm here every month producing helpful videos and interviews here for you to really help you create the meaningful work that makes your heart sing and to create the freedom that you want through a business that you can love. Okay? Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.